I the Preacher by George Fitzgerald. Preface. The National Library, Kildare Street, Dublin. It's a summer's day with trees all happy and blooming. The clock is talking, well, never shuts up. But it talks differently in summer than it does in the winter. Well, maybe that's not true. Just in my head, that's how I see it. With my book in hand and off I went. I'd left Nassau Street and headed towards Kildare Street, towards the Leinster granite-faced building with the houses of books and maps and newspapers and music. Its collections include works of both public and private sources. Irish authors who chronicle their lives and periods within our nation's evolving culture are forever shelved. At 7th A, Kildare Street, I saw the sun was in its happy place. It took out a brush to paint in orange and pink hues across the sky. I dressed in a long tweed coat with a zip and a hood. I wore a matching cap with white runners and a pair of light grey trousers, so I felt rather la mode, as the French would say, fashionable, although I think they'd say it differently. Of all the libraries in Ireland, the one thing the National Library does not do, and that is lend books. I wasn't there for that reason. I was giving them a copy of another one of mine. For me, visiting the reading rooms is a day out in itself. The building, the architecture and the design, the rounded headed windows with the main stairwell at the entrance, as well as the beautiful stained glass window finally wrapping itself around towards the reading rooms, and the images, the wonderful images of Michelangelo and Leonardo da Vinci grace the stained glass, intended, I'm sure, to inspire individuals of like mind who walk up towards the place of destiny where they would like to sit and educate themselves in that private moment. I did what I'd come to do and left. I planned to hit the art galleries, but I decided to grab a coffee. It was early. It was me, Sandra, and my wife. A coffee near Molesworth Street in a shop that walked out of Victorian London, the quaint place with its painted white front and lines of book-sized windows. I sat outside and sipped my coffee, the delightful aroma, the soft sound of Gershom's Summer Times accompanying me. Michelangelo and Da Vinci's images came to visit me again, as did Frida Kahlo. I thought about her husband, Diego Rivera, and the work he did. I sipped the coffee, listening to one streetwise youth say to his pal, "Bingo, don't be minding him, he'll tell you nothing, he repeated. I wondered about that, and how someone could tell you nothing. The Dublin Art Gallery is one of those places where you can feel the weight of the history in the air. Like the walls themselves have stories to tell. You only have to look at the plaster moulding on the ceiling and ponder on the men who worked there, craftsmen. What was life like for them? The light from the window is soft, casting gentle shadows that make the painting seem almost alive, each one waiting to share its secret. The landscape encapsulating the energy and the untamed beauty of Ireland. Those canvases contain delicate but strong brushstrokes that gave the impression that the painters had put their entire being into them. Some of the paintings were almost like windows into another world where everything in the painting was almost tangible, to the point you could reach out, or you would think you could, and touch it. I couldn't help but think about the lives of the artists behind the face of the portraits, each of which was looking at me with such intensity. Their eyes appeared to follow me as though they were conscious of my existence. In one specific painting, I saw the most compassionate face. God is an artist, I heard myself say. Those words came in a whisper, slipping silently between my lips. I repeated, God is an artist. I was to meet my wife Sandra, as I said. I was about to ring her when I turned and saw her. She was dressed in a long coat and high-heeled shoes, and in her arms were crossed, and she studied the painting. We do that, from time to time, visit galleries or even furniture shops that sell paintings. like easy living. I write, paint, sketch and record the videos. Sandra edits, proofs and works on my writing. Although she has numerous of talents, she excels in grammar and punctuation. She has written herself and she is an avid reader, the only person who I trust completely with my work. We decided to get some food. So after we'd roamed around, we grabbed a bite to eat on Grafton Street. On the street, I had flashing images of the kid in the cab selling newspapers that was once me. Life is abstract. You see all the pieces, the people, the places, the things, captivating in their own right, coming together in no particular order, but it fits. The shapes, the splashes of colour and the fluidity of the conversations. While we had something to eat, we sat there talking, discoursing about art. Then we left and listened to a passer-by make a quick remark. The 11 runners. He smiled, I smiled back, and we moved on. Sandra and I popped into a bookshop. I sensed the connection. I don't know why. I felt the stamp of approval that said, you're in the right place and you are doing the right thing. So I pondered on the boy that was once me and said, if you can read and write, dance with delight and shout aloud with joy. Why? Because not everybody can. Michelangelo came once again, tipping, knocking on my mind, and I remembered a statue he sculptured of the once shepherd boy turned warrior, the man who would be king, the man who was simply called David. Introduction. The words of the preacher, the son of David, king in Jerusalem. Vanity of vanities, said the preacher. Vanity of vanities, all is vanity. Ecclesiastes 1. I will keep the chronological writing structure. Well, that's not exactly true. For if I was to keep it in chronological order, it would be Saul, David and Samuel. But it's not. It's Samuel, David and Saul. Of course, both of them, the father and son, were not only famous kings, but they were also world-famous writers, whose works will be read, studied and quoted for generations to come.